Hey, hi everyone, welcome to the course Become a Business Analyst, your path to success. As discussed earlier, this course is structured around the Babcock Guide and for simplicity is divided into 9 comprehensive modules. We have already completed modules 1 to 8. In module 1, we saw the introduction to business analysis ideal for beginners or those from non-IT backgrounds. In module 2, we covered strategy analysis where we discussed defining business needs and recommending solutions. In Module 3, we explored business analysis planning and monitoring, where we discussed planning BA work, identifying stakeholders, and tracking performance. In Module 4, we covered requirement lifecycle management, guiding how to manage and control requirements throughout a project. In Module 5, we discussed requirement analysis and design definition like defining, validating, and designing solutions while avoiding scope creep. In Module 6, we covered BA Information Management, focusing on organizing and maintaining BA data with traceability and reuse. Whereas in Module 7, we dealt with risk and dependency management using tools like SWOT, 5 Whys, and Gantt charts to ensure success. And in Module 8, we learn about interfaces and integration requirements for smooth data flow. We covered how to define data needs, identify user role, and set right permission to ensure secure and efficient system access. Along with that, we also covered how system handle errors, validate user input, and enforce rules through functional constraint. Well, addition to that, we also covered how to functional requirement, user stories, and use cases work together to define, design, and deliver effective system. To make it easier to follow along, each tutorial video is numbered sequentially. If you ever need a quick refresher or clarification, you can easily revisit any previous tutorial at your convenience. All supporting documents and useful links are readily available in the video description for quick and easy access. Now finally come to module 9 and welcome to tutorial 24 Business Analyst Documents. In this session, we will explore key documents created by business analysts and their purpose across different project phases. So without further delay, let's get started with tutorial 24. A business analyst document refers to any formal artifact created, maintained, or used by a business analyst during the life cycle of project. Well, in simple terms, these are the documents we create or work with as a BAs to keep the project smoothly. Well, right from understanding what the business wants to making sure the final product actually works as expected. Means all these documents we maintain. Now let us see what are the purpose this document solves. Very first, understanding stakeholder needs. We use documents to capture what different people in the business actually want. Then defining scope and requirements. Well, these docs helps us clearly says what's in the project and what's not. Then supporting communication. Well, our such documents act like a bridge between business and tech team. So this is very important document as far as BA is concerned. Then ensuring traceability and validation. Well, this document helps us to track every requirement and make sure it's tested properly. And last, providing a foundation. Well, this document guide the design, development, and testing teams with what actually they need. So now let us see various kind of documents required as per project lifecycle phase. Well, before I start, let me clear 2 points. Well, documents are depends upon the methodologies which you are using in your project or in your industry, like agile versus waterfall. These are the both major methodologies nowadays used in industry. In agile project, documentations are lighter and more flexible, focusing on user stories and product backlogs that evolve continuously. Whereas in waterfall, project require more detailed and formal documentation like BRDs and FRDs upfront, since everything is planned in advance. So the type of amount of documentation really depends on the project approach. And next important point is, not every project will need every document. Well, creating every single document can be time consuming and unnecessary for smaller or simpler project. It's important to tailor your documentation based on project size, complexity, and what stakeholder expect. So this way you focus only on what adds real value. That is very important. Means shortly we will see various kind of documents, but not every documents are required. But the purpose behind that, I just want to make you familiar with the type of means type of the documents. That's all which I am targeting. Now let's start with the deliverables as per the project life cycle for business analyst. Well, very first phase during initiation and planning phase. So now let us see what are the documents which are generally required, which are generally expected. Well, very first is business case. It what it does, it establishes the justification for the project by outlining benefits, cost and risk. It helps decision makers to determine if the investment is worthwhile. Then project charter summarize the project's objectives, scope, stakeholders, high level deliverables. So it's formally authorizes the project to begin. Then stakeholder analysis, it identifies all stakeholders and assess their influence, interest and communication needs. It helps manage stakeholder expectation effectively. Then requirement management plan, well, this it describes how requirements will be gathered, documented, tracked and change. It ensures consistency and traceability throughout the project. And very last is again, it is stakeholder analysis. We generally create a RACI matrix for that. It's clarify the role and responsibility for project activity. It avoids confusion about ownership of a task. Means already we have covered what is RACI matrix and all these things. You will find the link in the description. Then next is requirements elicitation and analysis phase. Well, here there are bunch of documents and 2 3 are so important that we generally use in both methodologies. Name may be changed in both methodology, but the content will remain same. So very first is business requirements document. We will see shortly in detail. Just see the highlight of that. Captures means what BRD do, captures high level business needs, goals and problem the project intended to address. It aligns stakeholder on the purpose of the solution. Then stakeholder requirement document, it it consists detail what each stakeholder needs from the system. It ensures that the diverse perspective are considered in the solution. Then next is functional requirement document, which we called is at FRD or system requirement specification. SRS means both are almost same. It's provide in-depth functional specification of the system, including inputs, processes and output. It serves means this is very important. Okay, this particular document, it serves as a guide for developers and tester. Means functional requirement as well as non-functional requirements are also included in this particular document. Then use case document describes user interaction with the system to achieve specific goals. It includes actors, steps, expectation and alternate flows. Well, we have seen already what is use case diagram. This particular, using that particular diagram, we need to create a document if it is asked separately. Means I am repeating, it is not necessary. If it is asked separately, then we will provide separate document. Otherwise we will accumulate this particular document in other document like BRD or SRD, somewhere like that. Then user stories, it is a short simple description of features from the end user perspective, commonly used in agile to communicate what the user wants to accomplish. Well, user story is continuously evolving and it is very famous in agile methodology. We have already covered user stories in previous tutorial. Then acceptance criteria, it defines the condition under which requirement or user story is considered complete and accepted by the business. Well, again, user stories, then acceptance criteria, all these documents are merged into one if they are, means in what way actually customer or stakeholder ask us to prepare. Then process flow diagram, means the best example is BPMN. Means this is visual representation of business processes showing steps, decision and flows. They help identify inefficiencies and automation opportunities. So in process flow diagram, we have already covered BPMN. You will find the link in the description. Along with BPMN, there is data flow diagram is also there, which depicts how data moves between system, processes and users, useful for understanding data transformation and dependency. This particular topic is also we have covered. Using this, now you need to create the document. Then other kind of document like wireframes and UI mockups. So we have already covered this thing in the requirement elicitation method, what is wireframes and UI mockups. So if stakeholder again asks to provide them separately the wireframes and all, so we create this particular document. It is just 2-3 page documents, means it's not like that lengthy document we need to write essay here. It is pure visualization. It may be low or high fidelity sketches of user interface. Means what exactly it do, it helps visualize system screens and improve usability before development. So all these documents like wireframe, then data flow diagram, process flow diagram, all these are 1 or 2 pages document. And if customer asks or a stakeholder asks, then we can even merge them as well. And there are 2 other documents which are very important: a gap analysis document and requirement traceability matrix. So these are very important document. Generally means in every project we generally provide this separately. Means what gap analysis document do, it compare current as is and desired to be state of a business processes or system. It identifies what needs to be changed to reach the target state. Well, we have already covered the gap analysis, and you will find the link again in the description. And as per as requirement traceability matrix, it maps each requirement to its source and corresponding test cases. It ensures every requirement is addressed and verified. Again, I request you go to description, you will find the detail how RTM is created. Now let us move to design and solution definition. So now see the documents which are required in the design and solution definition. Solution requirement documents, it's capture the technical and architecture aspect of the solution needed to fulfill the business and functional requirement. Then non-functional requirement document, it specify quality attributes such as performance, security, scalability and usability. These requirements affect the user experience and system operation. Then interface requirement document, it defines how two systems or components will interact and exchange data. It includes API, data formats, protocol and timing. We have already covered what is interface and integration in means between the software. Then prototypes and screen mockup, well we have already covered this thing. Then data dictionary, it is nothing but a comprehensive listing of data element, their meaning, types, formats, relationship. It standardized terminology and ensure data consistency. Well, this thing we have already covered, what is data dictionary, and you will find the link in the description regarding this tutorial as well. And last, glossary and metadata definition. Well, this is nothing but same data dictionary and glossary and metadata definition. Almost I can say that it is almost same thing, where we decide the types of formats, relationship, data element and all their meaning and everything regarding the data. Then next phase would be testing phase. Here the main documents are test plan. It outlines testing scope, strategy, schedule and responsibilities. Then although it is primarily QA led, means generally it is for QA, but as a BA contributes by ensuring alignment with this requirement, because as a BA we are the first person who are interacting with the stakeholder, and we know exactly what stakeholder wants. And once this particular software or a system gets developed and when QA enters to test it, QA will pass everything, but as a BA we are the one who knows means know thoroughly what exactly the stakeholder expectations. So we must involve in this document, though it is purely for a QA person. Then test cases and test scenarios. Well, this is the detailed step designed to validate the system functionalities meet the requirement. It is often derived from the use cases and user stories. So we have already discussed what is test cases in detail in previous tutorials. Then requirements validation matrix. Well, list what happened here, list each requirement alongside the method or validation, which ensures every requirement is tested and meets business needs. So this document may be required separately in few projects as well. And the last is implementation and post deployment phase. Well, the documents may be required training materials, user manuals, then user acceptance testing, that is UAT plan, which we discussed already, then UAT support documents, then change request form, this is very important, then post implementation reviews. So generally, in my personal experience, what are most important documents are here: training materials, these are nothing but user guides, quick reference sheets, and presentation that helps end user understand and use the new system effectively. Well, user manual is same as training material. Then user acceptance testing and UAT support documents, it is almost similar to test plan, we can call it as, or a test cases, something like that, but it is generally for stakeholder. Those are stakeholders who are going to use this particular system which we are creating, so they test this particular system in the using UAT plan. In short, it defines the approach, roles, and schedule for business users to test the system, validate that the solution meets real world needs. And one of the most important is change request form. Means in during the project, means we are specifically talking about waterfall, and in between the project, if there is any change request comes, then we need to maintain this document very well, because it affect the cost, it affect the time of the project. Means formal documentation to request, evaluate, and approve or reject changes in requirement or scope, something like that mentioned here. And it ensures controlled modification during the project, which I am just told you that it is related to time and cost of the project. Well, with this, I can say that these are the documents which are required by the business analyst to prepare. But you need not to worry that it's not mandatory to create all the documents, and most of the documents are merged together as well. As we discussed that there are 1 or 2 page documents which are merged together as well, but as per the stakeholder requirement, we need to provide it separately as well. So I try to create separately each and every document, and the link of each document is provided in the description. I request you to go there, download it, and go through it as well, so that it will help you in the future. Now we will see bunch of document, those are important. And let's start with BRD, that is business requirement document. BRD, that is business requirement document, is a key deliverable in business analysis. It outlines the business needs and expectation for a project, serving as a formal agreement between stakeholders and development team. Okay, let's break this down in a simple way. A BRD is like the blueprint what the business actually wants from a project. Well, think of it as a wish list combined with a game plan. It doesn't go into the technical stuff, that's for later, but it clearly says here is the problem we have and here what we want to achieve. It's one of the first and most important documents we prepare in business analysis, because it gets everyone on the same page, from the clients to developers to testers. It's like saying this is what the business expects. Let's agree on this before we move ahead. Also, you can look as it as a formal handshake between the business side and the development team. Once it's reviewed and signed off, it becomes the reference point for the whole project. So, in short, BRD tells us what needs to be done and why, but not how it will be done. That comes later in functional requirement document. Now, let's go deeper into BRD and see key components of business requirement document. Well, very first is executive summary. This is high level overview, means what we generally include in the BRD. I am trying to tell you, executive summary means this is high level overview of the project. So we know this is like a trailer of a project in short. Well, it just enough to tell someone what the project is about, without getting into the full story. It gives quick idea of what's coming up. Then next is business objective, means this is the goal project aims to achieve. Means what we are doing, we are simply answering why we are doing this particular project. It could be saving time, it might be the reducing cost, or it might be the improving customer experience as well, or whatever the business is aiming for. Means it's all about the objective of business. And next is scope of the project. It defines what is included and excluded. Well, this is super important. We are drawing boundaries, what's part of the project and what's not. Then stakeholder analysis. It identifies key stakeholders and their roles. Basically, who are the key people involved in the project? This thing we are discussed here. Then we discussed what are their roles and how do they impact or get impacted by the project. So think of it as knowing your team and decision maker. Well, we know what is stakeholder analysis as well. Then next is functional requirement. Means what the system or a process must do. Means it's not that much detail. This is again the part of what part, not how part. Okay, what means what features or a function should be system should have. Means we are not talking about functional requirement document, we are talking about what are the features should be there in our system or software as well. Then again the non-functional requirement means performance, security and usability. Well, we are talking about a little bit, not in depth, but we'll talking about how we can do it. Means should it be fast, easy to use, secure, something like that. Not that much technical stuff. Again, it is just giving the background of the usability of the system, in short, if I, or I'll call it as a user experience of the system as well. Then assumption and constraint. Well, any means if there are any limitation and dependency in the project, this thing is mentioned here. Then next is a success matrix. Well, this is also very important. Means how will you know the project is hit or miss? Means that is when we should be measure this thing. So these are measurable goals which we add here. Means let us example reduce processing time by 30% or achieve 90% customer satisfaction. So we add such liners there that these are the success metrics which we want to achieve. And next is risk and dependency. Well, this is what if something goes wrong. It helps us to stay alert and plan backups if required. Then very last is approval and sign off. Means we need some authorization from stakeholder. Once everything looks good, we need a formal approval, kind of like getting signature before just we start the actual work. It makes everything official and locks the scope. So if you notice properly, we have covered each and every topic in detail. Means what is stakeholder analysis, then we have covered the scope as well, then we have covered the risk and dependency. So the topic which we have covered, now it's time to implement it in the form of document in the BRD or any other documents which are required or which are prepared by business analyst. Now let us see when is the BRD created. Well, as soon as the project is approved, the business analyst starts working on the BRD. Okay, it is based on the stakeholder discussion, business goals and high level requirement. The BRD is then refined in the requirement analysis phase where detailed requirements are gathered. And next is, why is BRD created early? Means this is again the question to ask. Well, it sets the foundation for the project. Means if think of the BRD as the base of the building. If the foundation is solid, everything else stands strong. Okay, it gives the project a clear starting point. What we can explain it in a simpler way. Then ensures all stakeholders have a clear understanding of the business analysis as business needs. So this is again that's the reason we required the BRD earlier, because it's like making sure everyone is on the same page from day one. No, no confusion, no surprises should be there in the later stages of the project. So just be clear, agreed upon whatever the expectation of stakeholder. Then it also helps guides the development and testing team implementation process. So what exactly BRD do BRD is not just for the beginning, it stays useful throughout the project. Developers build from it, tester validate against it, and implementation team refers to it as if the project go as a project go to guide as well. Means it's not like that it is only required in the initial phase. In few cases it is referred by the developer tester as well, although there are other documents for them are created, but it is required or referred at every stage of the project. Now let us see key uses of BRD. Very first is defines business objective. Well, this is where we answer why are we even doing the project. It sets the mission straight right from the beginning. Then establishes project scope. Here we draw a clear line what's the part of project and what is not part of project. So super useful to avoid last minute addition. Then align stakeholder. This makes sure everyone from the business folks to tech teams is on the same page and agrees on what needs to be done. Then guides solution design. Well, BRD gives designer and developer clear idea what the system should achieve, so they know what to build. Then support testing. Testers use BRD to check if the final product actually meets the business needs. It's like their checklist. And last is adds project planning. Well, project managers use it to plan things, how long it will take, what will be the cost of the project, and who the particular person required to do this particular job. So this is all about BRD. And for your information, and complete BRD of loan management system is in the description. Find it, download it, refer it, so that it will help you in the future. Now let's move and see the functional requirement document. The FRD defines what the system should do in terms of features and functionality. It describes how the system will behave in response to user inputs and interactions. Well, in functional requirement documents, we are focusing on what the system should actually do. Like what features it will have, what happens when user clicks this or a user enters any data, then how the system responds according to that. So think of it's like describing the actions or a behavior of the system. Means if we want to take example, when the user applies for a loan, the system should validate the form, check eligibility, and save the application. So this is nothing but functionalities, and we need to write it down in functional requirement document. And there is another part of a functional requirement document, that is non-functional requirement document. It defines qualities, constraints, and performance expectation rather than functionalities. It answers how well rather than what. Well, functional requirement document is one step ahead of BRD, and non-functional document tell us how to resolve this particular issue. Means you have provided us what, we are providing you how we will do this particular thing. Well, in other way, non-functional requirement document, what it do, it doesn't care about what features are there. Instead of that, it focuses on how well the system performs. It answers things like, should the system be fast, should it support 10 users or thousands users, should it work 24/7 without crashing, should the data be secure. So these all these things which we discuss right now, like performance, reliability, security, scalability, all behind the whatever happen things behind the scenes, such stuffs that really impact the user experience are mentioned in the non-functional requirement. So in short, FRD is what the system does, non-functional requirement document is how well the system does it. So you can think of it, FRD is planning the features of car like brakes, engine, headlights, while NFRD is all about quality of the ride like fuel efficiency, speed, safety, and comfort. Now let us see the key components of FRD. And very first is purpose. Means when we create any FRD, functional requirement documents, there are 10 key components we generally use it while creating. Means kind of header you can consider like business requirement document. So what is purpose? It explain why the document exists and its objective. So this is intro part. It tells us why we are creating the document and what we want to achieve with it. Then functional scope, it defines the system boundaries, included and excluded features. Well, we clearly state what the system will do and what it won't, so there is no confusion later. Then data requirement means it defines types of data, structure, storage. So slowly you can see that now we are moving towards technical part. Okay, in BRD there is no technical part is discussed. In FRD there is, slowly we are going towards the technical part of the system. So we list what kind of data of the system will be and how it will be handled, then how it will be organized. Everything is discussed in the data requirement. Then user roles and permissions, it identifies who will interact with the system and their access level. So this section talks about different users like admin, customers, staffs, and what each one can or can't do in the system. Then system interface and integration means screen layout, dashboard, navigation flow, APIs, third party integrations. All these things are mentioned in the this particular section of the FRD. Now we are moving again ahead and with error handling and validation rules. So it ensures data integrity, system stability, security, and smooth user experience. Now functional constraint, then boundaries, restriction, and limitations are discussed here. Then functional requirements, this is the what is functional requirement, the way system should operate to meet business objective. Means this is the core part. Actually it defines what actions the system must perform to support business need. Then next is non-functional requirement. It ensures system performance, scalability, efficiency, everything means which is related to improve the user experience. So it talks about quality side of the system, like how fast system should be, how many users it can handle it, and how secure it is. And very last again here, approval and sign off means authorization from key stakeholder. Once all details are finalized, stakeholders give their official thumbs up, so development can start. Again I'll mention same thing. If you go through the topic like error handling, validation rule, functional constraint, then system interfaces, then user role permission, data requirement, everything we have covered in the tutorial. Now it's time to collect this particular knowledge and document it in FRD or BRD or whatsoever the document is asked by the stakeholder to us. Now move quickly and see when is the functional requirements document created. Well, the FRD is created during the requirement elicitation and analysis phase of the software development lifecycle. It is created after the business requirements are defined. Means once the BRD is ready, we are clear on the business needs, then we shift focus on the how part. So FRD takes those high level goals and turns them into detailed step by step system function. Well, we have already discussed the difference in waterfall and agile method. In waterfall model, the FRD prepared after BRD and before development start. In agile model, functional requirement may be documented iteratively in the form of user story. So FRD and user story almost same, but as per the methodology they are used and their nomenclatures are different. Now let's move and see the key uses of functional requirement document. Very first is defined system functionalities. Well, it specifies what the system should do, including features, workflows, and business rules. Then serves as a development blueprint. It guides developers in building the system according to the business needs. Then aids in testing and validation. It helps QA teams to create test case to ensure the system meets functional expectation. Then next is ensure system performance and reliability. It defines speed, scalability, and availability requirements to ensure a smooth user experience. Then address security and compliance. So specify data encryption, authentication, and regulatory compliance like GDPR, PCI DSS. Then last is support maintainability and future growth. So it helps in system scalability, integration, and long term sustainability. Well, with this I can say that these are the documents which are required by business analyst, or we can consider it as a deliverables of business analyst. And let's conclude this particular topic, and then later we will see the roadmap of our course as well. So, to sum it up, business analyst documents are essential tools that guide a project from idea to execution. They help capture requirements, align stakeholders, and ensure the final solution meets the business needs. Clear and well structured documentation is a key to project success. Now let's revisit roadmap we have discussed in our very first tutorial. As promised, we have successfully completed the Babok knowledge area with live scenarios using a loan management system as our case study throughout the session. To make learning more structured, we divided the content into 9 comprehensive modules, all of which have now been completed. In the attachment, you will find the valuable resources including assignments, real life case studies, PDF notes, interview questions, and answer sets. In the upcoming tutorials, we will explore tools commonly used by business analysts, an introduction to AI in business analysis, and how to prepare an effective resume for business analyst job application. I hope you are continuously adding value to yourself through this journey. So, before we wrap up, just one last thought to leave you with. Thanks immensely for sticking around. If this video helped you even a little, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and drop any questions in the comments. I love hearing from you. And most importantly, smash that subscribe button so we can keep exploring the awesome world of business analysis together. Catch you in the next one. Thank you very much.